everyone, Justin here. So we've been trying out the apps on this parchment device and written some rather exquisite poetry, if I do say so myself. And I heard some rumors that some users are being selected to try out this last app, Portfolio, where they're featuring work from up-and-coming new poets. Ooh, look at that, we're in. They're looking for influencers, penfluencers, to feature on the app. And they want us to apply. Can you curate a poetry portfolio that showcases your unique voice? Yeah, we can. To tackle this final poetic challenge, we'll select and revise poems to produce a poetry portfolio, and also write an author's statement to explain our inspiration and intent as poets. Let's get into it. Today, we're making a poetry portfolio, a collection of poems that shows the poet's personal style and range of skills. That means we'll choose poems carefully. Obviously, we'll pick ones we're proud of, but beyond that, we want poetry that is both diverse and coherent. Diverse means we're showing that we can write in a variety of styles and on different topics. And coherent means that our poems have some connection between them or work together in a way that feels unified even if they're different in style or subject matter. It's kind of like how a musician chooses songs to create an album. The songs are all different, but they should also sound like they belong together in one collection. So, as we select poems to include, we'll think about their forms, like sonnet, haiku, and so on, their subjects, like what they're about, and their moods or emotional atmospheres. We want to choose poems that are diverse in at least one of these categories and coherent in at least one of these. Maybe you choose poems with diverse forms but similar subjects, like some are free verse and some are structured, but they're all about nature. Or maybe you choose poems with diverse subjects but similar moods, like they're on different topics but they all have a spooky, ominous vibe. So, what poems will you choose? Using your guided notes, select 3 to 7 poems to include in your portfolio. Then note down how your selected poems are diverse and how they're coherent. As you continue working on your portfolio, you might change your mind about which poems to include, and that's totally fine. You could even decide to write new poems to make your portfolio more coherent. Okay, so we've got our poems chosen. Let's look at how we can revise them to make sure we're showcasing our best work. We learned about revisions in the last unit when we took our creative nonfiction pieces to the next level by improving their content, structure, and style, with rewarding results. Revising poetry is similar, but because poems are usually shorter than prose, we're just working on a smaller scale. That doesn't mean it's easier. Because poems use fewer words, we want each one to be just right. So when we revise our poetry, we'll focus on word choice. You could think about connotation by considering synonyms that better suit your poem's subject or mood. For example, if we are revising the line, "She saw the dark red sky," we might revise dark red to blood red for a more dramatic, ominous mood. You could also consider the sound of each word to create sound devices, such as alliteration, internal rhyme, or meter. For this one, it's really helpful to read your poem out loud. For example, "She saw the blood red sky" is dramatic, but we can revise that to "She saw the scarlet sky," and now we have drama and alliteration with that repeated S sound. Finally, think about building or strengthening deliberate connections between the poems in your portfolio. For example, you might use the same distinctive word, symbol, or idea in several poems. Or you could give each poem a title that follows a similar structure or pattern. You might also use the same kind of figurative language in several poems, like personification, simile, or hyperbole. These kinds of connections will make your portfolio more coherent. Think of revising like experimenting. Change a word, read the poem out loud, and decide which version you like best. It's not something to rush. Take your time. In fact, let's try it now. In your guided notes are several revision challenges to choose from. Pick one challenge and spend some time experimenting with revision. You'll have more chances to revise later, so this doesn't need to be perfect. Pause to work for a while. Okay, so we've selected poems and started revising them to make them more effective and coherent. Now it's time for the final component of our portfolios, the author's statement. When writers produce a collection of work, whether it's in a book, on their website, or published elsewhere, they often include an author's statement. That's a brief, personal reflection where the writer explains their inspiration and artistic choices. We writers spend a lot of time expressing our perspectives subtly and indirectly. An author's statement is our chance to be more direct, like, hey, this is who I am and what I'm trying to say. So, how do we write an author's statement? Let's check out a few examples in your guided notes. Read each author's statement. What kind of information is included? Pause to answer in your guided notes. I noticed a few things in common. Each author explained what inspired them, the themes and ideas that connect their poems, and the creative choices they made, like poetic forms and figurative language. They also discussed the impact they hoped their work would have on the reader. We'll wait to write our author statements until after we finish our portfolios, but we can do a little planning now. In your guided notes, use the brainstorming table to consider what you might want to include in your author's statement. Okay, we've made a great start. Now I've got to finish revising my poems, write an author's statement, and get everything organized. Then we'll find out if the glamorous life of a penfluencer is in my future. Well, given my established genius for creative writing, it shouldn't come as a shock that, drumroll please, my portfolio will be published online for the whole world to see. And maybe I should have picked a better profile picture. Now it's your turn. In the lesson activities, you'll perfect your own poetry portfolio, and I have no doubt it'll be just as amazing as mine. When you're done with that, we've got a mysterious message from a media mogul, something about an upcoming Mia Fest. Until then, keep writing. Your story is worth telling. See you next time. Hey.